We're here to talk about the Lomi. That's it. That's my intro. Hi, I'm Amanda. You're watching Swell Entertainment, and today we are talking about the Lomi from Pela. So a couple of people sent the Lomi to me, or ads for the Lomi. I have been getting ads for the Lomi for a little while now, a couple of months, I would say, before they even started actually sending them out. I can't remember if they had a Kickstarter or not, but I want to say I saw something like this for a Kickstarter. I got it. It's a lot of money. I should wait to tell you how much it is. I mean, it's going to be in the title. I'll put it in the thumbnail. It's $500. This thing is $500. It's for work. And even I was like, that's a lot. The thing about Lomi is it makes dirt out of your food waste. Okay, before I start talking about the downsides and the complaints and cons and things about that with this device, I do want to say, you'll see this in my vlog footage that I took while I was actually trying this out and reviewing it for a few weeks. I love this thing. I think the dirt that it makes is actually pretty cool. I thought it was very impressive, and you're going to keep hearing me say that. Overall, I think this is cool. I have a lot of downsides, particularly the price, even for, what it is. I think the price is a bit insane, but we'll talk. Food waste is gross. We can do better. So Lomi is by Pela. I don't know what the difference is. Here at Pela, we have a big, hairy, audacious goal. We want to create a waste-free future. We believe that the technology exists to make our bag a reality. BHAG, as in big, hairy, audacious goal. Stop trying to make bag happen. It's not going to happen. It just takes the right company with the right community to make these products the new normal. This is why we are developing products made of environmentally sensible materials to educate and inspire the global community of people who are committed to making a positive impact on our planet. Put simply, we believe in better, everyday products without everyday waste. It all started with Jeremy Lang, our founder. He saw firsthand the damage plastic was doing to our oceans while on a family vacation in Hawaii in 2008. Tourism also has an impact on Hawaii. Jeremy had the courage to spend years experimenting with new materials to try and find an alternative to plastic that could be used in everyday products. I started Pela when my son Cole dug up some plastic on the beach in Hawaii, and I started wondering about the impact of plastics on our planet. Just then, when it affects your child. I mean, hey, whatever it takes to get people to start caring about the planet. If it takes your child digging up plastic, great, okay? If it takes your dog eating a plastic straw on the side of the road, great, not great, but you get my point. Whatever it takes to get you to be like, maybe we should be doing something about this. So they have the 4 C's we've curated: community, creativity, consciousness, and courage. Here's my opinion on the current craze of clean products, anti-plastic products, things like that. Though I think they are necessary, and the phrase sustainable has kind of got, okay. Let me word this right. Hold on. We are fucking over our planet. We just are. We can try and deny it all we want. It's just a thing that's happening. Do I think that I individually can make an individual difference? Not particularly. I think that every time I, reuse utensils from a takeout order that I brought my own bag for, so I didn't get a plastic bag, and then I recycle as much as I can, and then I reuse things so I don't just have single-use plastic, and I, use this thing to, break down my food waste so I'm not just adding it into a landfill. I think that another billionaire is going to go to space, and it's going to wipe out any progress that I've made, as well as another progress of 100 people. So do I think that I individually can make a difference? No. However, I don't think there's anything wrong with me actively trying to make a difference with myself or the way that I live my life to be better for the environment, better for my own health and my dog's health, or the health of the rest of the people in my apartment complex, or for the environment in general. And there's always this call out that it's like, well, this isn't actually sustainable. This isn't going to fix the problem. This is a Band-Aid. And it's like, I understand. However, there seems to be this all or nothing mentality with trying to take steps to make things better for our current climate situation and all of that. where it's like, okay, if we're not eradicating the problem, then it's not good enough, and I though to some degree, I do think that's important to talk about. We should be being harsher on corporations that are just dumping gasoline and shit and chemicals into water supplies and polluting the ozone and all this other stuff, and billionaires just going to space to have a dick measuring contest and, jerk off in the cosmos. I don't know. We should be having those conversations. However, I don't think that just because something is quote unquote not enough doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. I don't think there's anything wrong with making better choices to live a more green and sustainable life for yourself, to do your own part. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That being said, I do think that the industry, the capitalism side of things, knows that there's nothing wrong with doing something for yourself. So they are trying to get you to think that you need a $500 food waste dirt maker. There's a lot of other companies in general right now that are, kind of preying on our fears of our future and future generations' futures by saying that this is the way we're going to fix the problem. Here's the hole in the life, not hole in the market, hole in the life. And we're the ones that are going to fix it. This is the problem. And here's the solution. And though to some degree, I do think that products like this are not necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think it's the necessity that some people may try to paint this as. Hi, I'm terrible at promoting things, but reminder, I have a podcast, the Swell Shenanigans podcast, new episodes every Wednesday. Back to the video. So the whole thing with food waste, let me break down the food waste issue. Food waste is gross. We can do better. Lomi takes care of your food waste so you can spend time on things you actually enjoy. I don't like that messaging. I mean, yeah, you can say food waste is gross. There's the smell issue and things like that. I cook, so I don't really mind it. The way that our landfills, specifically in the US, this is where this company is based. This is where I'm assuming a majority of the products are being sold. The way our landfills are set up, traps food waste under other garbage, things like that, which prevents it from breaking down properly, which is my understanding releases methane throughout the process that then goes into the ozone, causing more damage to our ozone layer, our atmosphere. Composting and finding things to do with your food scraps on your own is a good way to do your own little part, okay? Again, am I someone who lives in an apartment building with, 400, 500, I don't know, how many people live here? Let's say 500. I'll be generous. I know people have kids and stuff. So 500 people. If I am the only one doing food waste, is that really going to make a massive difference? Not particularly, but it's something. And I do think that something is better than nothing, despite you're not fixing the problem. I'm doing my part. It's not my job to fix the problem. I'm just trying not to contribute to the problem. And I think that's fine. I think if enough people don't contribute to the problem and just work on it themselves, then that's great. Eggshells, coffee grounds, biodegradable packaging, food scraps, vegetable scraps, things like that. You just put it all into the Lomi and, it makes dirt, which you can then use for plants and things like that. So before I start talking more about the Lomi, let me show you the setup of my Lomi and all of that from my vlog footage. Lomi is excited to meet you. This thing is, I'm really hoping it's not as big as this box makes it look, because I don't have a ton of counter space in this apartment. So I guess that's also the point of this video, is to review, how portable this works, how it fits into my life and all of that. So we'll just crack this bad boy open and start doing setup, I think. And I'm blocking everything, but I don't have less space. It's really big. Okay. Okay. Oh my God. Unlocked. Okay. So here's the bucket. This is where my compost is going to come out of. So install the back filter, open the back panel of the unit, and remove the rectangular filter box. There's a back panel back here somewhere. There it is. Here, let me give you more space to see me. There we go. Now I open up this bag and just pour it on in. It's going to go everywhere, doesn't it? Okay, hang on. Let's do it inside this bag. So yeah, now it's full of, I don't want to twist it over, pellets. I think that's really it. It's still beeping. I don't know what that, okay, I think because the lid is off is why it's showing red. So let's just, no, seriously, how do I get this thing back on? Haha. Okay, so I'm just gonna start putting shit in this and I'll get back to you guys in like a month. I don't know. We'll see. For someone like me who lives in an apartment, who doesn't have a patio space, who doesn't have a porch, who doesn't have the space to do, let's say, a compost bin with worms and all of that, this is cool. This works. This is something, it's not super compact. Like this thing is sitting on my desk right now. It fits on my counter. I did move stuff around to make it fit, but it does fit on my counter. I have a good amount of space in my living area. I don't know about other places, but it's pretty heavy. Prior to this, what I would do with a lot of my food scraps is I would just save them in my freezer in a reusable freezer bag, and I would just make vegetable stock with them at like the end of like a week or two, which then I would use for other dishes throughout a week or two. You know, if you store it properly, it lasts kind of a while actually. But then when you're done with that, then there's still, you know, bits of the vegetables and scraps left over. So though you're getting more out of your vegetable scraps, you're not doing something with the vegetable scraps. Eventually those still end up in the trash technically. So my building doesn't have like a compost program or anything. I think LA has one in general. We have recycling and we have trash. I think they keep them separate. I'm praying they keep them separate because I'm gonna freak out if they don't. I will say the process fairly fast. I'll show my footage of me reviewing it. Okay, so I think I have enough food waste finally to run my Lomi. It's been about 3 days since I filmed the last video. Let's see if I can set you up on my stovetop. So yeah, I've been gathering food waste for a couple of days because it said here that you can just let it accumulate for a couple of days in the Lomi itself, but because apparently the scent blocking doesn't work when it's not running, I didn't want to do that because that's the whole point of why this would be useful for me is partially, you know, to deal with the smell of composting and all of that. The way that I deal with that while I was gathering my food waste is what I usually do when I used to take all my vegetable scraps to make vegetable broth with, is I freeze them. I just stick them in my freezer. So this is a reusable bag. I have a mesh one as well, and this has just been sitting on my counter to help defrost it a bit. I'm also worried about how long this is going to take. It's currently about 5 p.m. I don't plan on going to bed for several hours because I have stuff to do. Use Lomi pods to increase breakdown. What are Lomi pods? Now I'm confused. Oh yeah, Lomi pod. Okay, compost accelerator. Do I need one? Using a Lomi pod when you run Lomi ensures your plants get nutrient-rich output while reducing waste. Okay, 45 tablets. I'm assuming 1 pod. Cut up a bunch of stuff. Some stuff I left a little more whole. I'm gonna pour a little bit of water over the tablet and see what happens. We'll see what happens. Okay, on. Is it going? I think it's spinning. Oh, you hear that? It's not terribly loud. I wouldn't say it's any louder than, say, my air purifier. Ignore the state of my kitchen, please. My air purifier. So that's pretty good. I guess we'll see how hot it gets, but yeah, I'm gonna let it run for a bit and see what happens. So I only used the standard operating mode, which is the 3-hour version, which is like the fast one that uses the least amount of energy. I didn't see a crazy spike in my electric bill that I noticed, but this may not show up on my last electric bill. It may show up on my next one. So maybe by the time this video comes out, I'll have an addendum to add about how much this affected my energy output. Because obviously a machine that I plug into an outlet that runs for 3 hours is going to use more energy than, say, a bucket designed for composting that just sits on my counter. I've run the Lomi 4 times in that time, and in fact, it did not cause an insane spike in my bill. Very little deviation from my normal bill amount. One, the price I think is insane. If I weren't using this as a review for work, I probably wouldn't make this step to do this. I would just continue to figure out other things to do with my vegetable and fruit scraps and things like that. Because $500 is an investment. And so it's like, for me, myself, I can't use this thing every day. I'm not running it every day. What I've been doing is kind of storing up food scraps in my freezer like I've been doing previously with a resealable bag that's washable and all of that. And I keep that in the freezer, which prevents smell. And then I run this at the end of the week, with whatever's left. So I don't know if it's picking up here because the mic's facing that way, but I am sitting on my couch on the other end of my studio from where the Lomi is, way over there. Ignore the state of my kitchen counter. And it's not loud. It's just persistent, Like I wouldn't say that it's like disrupting, but I definitely know that it's that making the sound. I wonder if it would be like with my fridge, because I've just gotten used to the sounds my fridge makes. Same with my air purifier. So I'm wondering if I'll just get used to it, or if it's because of like the amount of food that's in it right now or what. But yeah, so it's been running for a whopping 10 minutes now. So I guess we'll see if I get used to it by the time it's done, or if the volume changes whatsoever. It's not like making sound. It's just the motor grinding things. And I know it needs to be pretty solid to grind things. So we shall see. One of the things that I did not like about this is that when it's not plugged in and not running, the scent blocker doesn't work, which I do think is an issue. Maybe you have a lot of people in your family, maybe you cook a lot and you have a lot of food scraps. So you can, do a minimum load or a maximum load or whatever in this thing whenever you really feel like it, or every day or every 2 days. So, spending a couple of days just letting food accumulate in here, the smell's not going to get bad. But if I were to continue to leave food in there for a week, I think that's going to be an issue. That's kind of a point away from like the space saving aspect of this and the smell aspect of this, because look, you can make dirt without, the smell of a traditional compost bucket on your counter, under your sink or whatever. It kind of just makes it a two-step process now, where it's like, yes, this is the dirt maker. And then I have a bag that I have to keep in my freezer, which takes up space with my food scraps so that they're not, rotting on my counter and smelling throughout my one-room apartment that surprisingly takes a stupid amount of time to air out. That's kind of a point against it. I don't like that. Especially since the scent blocker. So this thing is pretty sealed. It's like, then it's open, done. It's pretty sealed tight. There's some backsplash from the last dirt thing. Something I pointed out in my vlog footage as well is it does heat up quite a bit, but it doesn't get hot, and there's no steam released from the back portion. Here, I'll show you. So as you can see back here, there's a vent. Back here is also, well, if you saw from the setup, there's also charcoal back here. In this thing. While it was running, there was no smell that I could smell. There was no steam or when it was, drying and cooking and heating everything up. Though this got hot itself, it wasn't burning me, like I could touch it. I never had any issues with holding this thing while it was running. There was no hot steam or anything coming out here. So if you're worried about like kids getting at this thing and being like, I want to see the Lomi, like it didn't hurt me. I can't imagine it hurting a small child unless they start trying to like pod this. But I mean, it takes a bit of force to get this thing open and closed. So I can't imagine a child, accidentally opening it themselves and getting their hand stuck in it. Also, this thing beeps at you when you open it in general, let alone when it was running. I didn't open it when it was running, but it does say that there is like a little alert thing. As you can see, you have the light system here. I talked about this in the footage. I hate this light system. I hate it. I think it's poorly designed. I think it's very confusing. The little white bits between here that divides the different portions of the light don't work very well for dividing the color. So even though, let's say this one's going, these two are dim, it's still very hard to tell what that means when I can't discernibly make out, which light is brighter than the other, which maybe it's just my eyesight being shitty. I don't know, but I do think that's an issue. And that's just a design flaw that I think is easily fixable. I get it. It's not as sexy as, this one light source, but I just think there's an easier way to make that light look better and be more clear. As far as the size goes, I get why you can't make it smaller, because you want to be able to put a large amount of food waste in there. Could you make the shape better? It's kind of like you gave this thing like a BBL, and the shape is just kind of like a little wider on the bottom and then skinnier on the top. And so I just think that there's a way to maybe Theranos, the Edison version of this, where you make it really weird and compact, and people are like, that does that? I don't know. Because I get you can't make it too much smaller because it has to be able to fit the bucket. And I do think the bucket is a pretty good size for what you get and for what has to happen inside there to grind everything up. Because the way that this works is that it heats things up while routinely grinding and mixing things up. So it's just pulverizing everything and shredding everything. Don't try and stick your hand in anything. Don't do it. Just trust the process. I would not doubt that this thing would rip my finger off and then grind it into dust. I would have very nutritious plant food, okay, with my finger inside there. So I don't recommend doing that. All right. We're done. It beeped. Time to check our dirt. Okay. Oh, wow. That's way less than I thought it would. Holy crap. It like made fucking dirt. Holy shit. That's like dirt. Wow. You know what? I'm impressed. Holy crap. You know what? I'm very impressed. I'm like, What the heck? I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting sludge, not legitimate. Like this is usable. Like it's very fibrous. I'm assuming from all of the celery that was in this, because a lot of it was celery stalk. So I'm assuming that's what this all was. But my goodness, that's like fucking, oh my God, that's dirt. I'm trying to think of a way to make this less of an awkward shape and an awkward size. My only thought is making it maybe even slightly taller, putting the mechanism that's inside the side over here down at the bottom, but then you have the vents down at the bottom. I mean, I don't know. I'm not an engineer. I'm just criticizing in general. Okay, let me show you my most recent batch of dust. I have a bucket of dirt. I'll show the footage of the vlog, but what happened was I went to Vegas for CrimeCon, came back, and a few of the food scraps that I had tried to get through, I forgot in my fridge, and they just had gotten bad. So I broke them up and threw them in here, and it was way too much moisture. Hadn't frozen them beforehand, and so instead of making a dirt, it made like a clay. There wasn't a whole lot of frozen bits in there either. And there was also no coffee grounds in that one, which I think may have been good to soak up some moisture. It missed a whole piece of spinach. Definitely more sticking to the sides this time around. Still pretty fibrous considering there's no celery in this one, but there was asparagus. And it's more clumped. That is a clump. I'm assuming because there was more moisture in this batch, even without the water added. Because most of the stuff was mostly frozen when I put it. Yeah, this is like a pile of crap, frankly. I had let it sit out, just the bucket itself, sit out on my counter for like 2 days, seeing if it would get rid of any extra moisture. There was no smell or anything, but I just wanted to see if it would get rid of extra moisture to see if maybe it would be able to crumble apart and be actually like usable dirt. Nothing happened. So what I did is I added coffee grounds, added a few extra new vegetable scraps that I had, like avocado skins and things like that. And then I put in my old dirt from the first round that you saw when I first ran the Lomi with the new dirt to make this dirt, which is much more usable, I think. It's actually very fibrous. I'm assuming the fibers, I originally thought it was the celery. I think it was mostly the asparagus bits that I had in there. The second bit was also incredibly fibrous and there was no celery in there. So I'm assuming it was a lot of the asparagus that I used. This dirt I like this dirt a lot. This one's very nice. Does smell like coffee because I put in quite a bit of coffee grounds, but I drink quite a bit of coffee, so that makes sense. As far as, what's good for your plants and whatnot, that's up to each their own. My friend was like, hey, if you have a certain amount of carbon in there or whatever, something about the eggshells, there was an issue there. She was like, that could kill my plants. She was specifically talking about her weed plants, and those are temperamental bitches. Does not surprise me that that would be an issue. I do think that for what it is, I'm not going to pretend it's not cool. I like the dirt. I like the idea that I can put this in a jar and walk up to my dad and be like, Pirates of the Caribbean, I have a jar of dirt. My dad is also a plant hoarder, worse than me. You think I'm bad with plants? My dad is a hoarder. To the point that all the times we've had to move, there have been times where he's had to leave plants. We are not leaving the city. We're not leaving the state. We're moving to another place in the city. And we've had to leave plants because there's too many for us to take. It's insane. So me giving him dirt. Oh, he's getting dirt for Father's Day. He won't watch this video. He's getting dirt for Father's Day. No one tell Papa Swell. I think this would be best for someone with more money who has multiple roommates or a family with multiple people that cook fairly often. And you like plants, or you have something you want to do with plants and you have a reason to use the dirt, or you can gift it to people or whatever. Just for, who could get the most out of this. I think if you cook quite often, if you like plants and you don't want to spend money on dirt, I guess you could say that I am not going to have to spend money on dirt because I'm only going to have to spend money on my food to make more dirt for my plants and things like that. However, dirt itself is not super expensive. Do I think this is going to pay for itself? Which is the adage of like, it's an investment, it'll pay for itself. No, I think that it's, more of like a personal soul payment. Like I feel better using this. I'm not just putting stuff in my trash. They have a 30-day return option. I'm going to keep it and continue to use it. Like I said, my dad's getting dirt for Christmas. I cook a lot here. I'm back on my no DoorDash kick. I will continue to use my Lomi. Do I think you need the Lomi? No, I don't. I don't think you need it. I get why it exists, and I do think it serves a purpose. I don't think it's a necessity at this point, especially at the current price. I don't think the price justifies the utility of the item. Do I think this is good for, again, I haven't gotten the energy usage bill yet. I haven't got my electric bill. Once I get that, I will know specifically whether or not I think this is overall a good thing. Do I think the dirt is cool? Yes, I can't deny that I think the dirt is cool. I can't deny that, it's like, yay, I don't have to throw out my banana peels. I can use them for something. I like that. I do think it serves a purpose. The price and the utility is just not going to do it. It's like if you were to do a round of edits on this, make the light better, fix the light, make it so that it's when it's closed, it's closed. You can put food in there and it's not going to smell and the vents are not going to be a problem. Maybe there's a way to shut the vents. I don't know. It's something as simple as that, so that the smell doesn't seep out when it's not running. Then that way it's not, like a secondary thing where I also need to have space for this and space in my freezer to make sure my food waste isn't smelling while it's accumulating. Most popular, best value, as low as $59 a month for 12 months. Currently, right now, I have an issue with things like Afterpay and Affirm and all of that. I do think that people aren't realizing how much money they are accumulating in debt because they don't think of it as debt. They think they're getting a deal at the time, and the same goes with this. The pods themselves, I used the pod once for the first batch of dirt, and then I used it the second time for the second batch of dirt because it was in the first batch. I still have plenty. So yeah, I don't know if it's necessary. Reduce the waste you send to a landfill by up to 50%. Yeah, see, again, there's plenty of people who don't cook at home, who barely buy groceries in general. Something like this is not useful to you if you are not an at-home eater. Even various food waste that are like takeout food waste, I don't even think some of them can't go in here. So it's not just all of your food waste. Their January delivery sold out, obviously. April delivery sold out. That's when I got this. And their May delivery is 87% sold. June delivery begins March 30th. See, I feel like you're forcing a scarcity. I don't like that. I think there's fine tuning that can happen with this. Main complaint, price, the light thing's annoying. I really think it's annoying. The runtime, 3 hours for dirt, not too bad. I'm not going to be like, you need to make it faster. I don't think it needs to be faster. I think having it done right is fine. The space issue, kind of a last thing. I think the shape could be better, but could also be worse. So it's not like it's taking up literally a full side of my countertop. It is like a little over a foot wide, I would say, is the overall size of this thing. You know how some people sell their bathwater? What if I just sold my dirt? Amanda's food waste dirt. Would you guys buy jars of my dirt? I'm partially kidding and also partially not, because I do want to see what would happen if I just started listing my dirt for sale. What would you do? How would my simps react? That's going to be it. Have you heard of Lomi? Have you heard of Pela? Would you buy my dirt? Let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I have a podcast, the Swell Entertainment podcast. New episodes every Wednesday. Reminder, I have merch like that mug back there with the sunglasses. Shout out to my Patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. If you'd also support me on Patreon, then listen down below. Like follow me on my social media. That'll be all up here. And that's going to be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. No, seriously though, how would you react if I just started selling jars of dirt? Swell dirt. Swell soil.
Thank you, Audrey, Alan, Cameron, Christopher, Chris, Crash PC, China, Devin, Durdo, and Don, Elliot, Evan, Theklos, Hopeless, Incognito, Jacka Ray, Joe, John M, Jordan, Joseph, Kenny, Kim, Kristen, Lamb, Lex, Lisa, Louise, Matt, O, Matthew, Asmeme, Lord, Michael J, Micah, Nathan, Nathaniel, Pat, Penn, Richard, Rob, Red, Robert, Ross, Sam, Serena, Skylar, Simon, Tasha, Timothy, Tom, Wendy, William, Winter, Zenderies, Wink.